In this lecture, we're going to explore a feature of PHP called match expressions. This feature is relatively new with version 8 of PHP. If you're on an older version of PHP, this feature will not be available to you. So, what are match expressions? A match expression is similar to a switch statement. It's a feature that compares two values. The main difference is that the match keyword is treated as an expression. Let me give an example. In our script, we added a switch statement. Let's wrap the switch statement with the variable dump function. Almost immediately, an error gets thrown by PHP. According to the error, the switch statement is unexpected. This is because the switch statement is not an expression. A value does not get produced by switch statements. Understanding this behavior is crucial. Not all lines of code produce values. Technically, the switch statement can contain expressions, but the switch statement itself is not an expression. The variable dump function wants an expression. Otherwise, it won't be able to output the value into the page. Let's switch the keywords from switch to match. Unlike the switch statement, a match expression produces a value. Match expressions can be written with the match keyword. Inside the parentheses, we may provide a value to compare with the values written inside the curly brackets. I'm fine sticking with the payment status variable. I'll leave it as is. Inside the match expression, the syntax for adding a list of values is slightly different. We don't have to use the case keyword. Match expressions use a similar syntax to associative arrays. For example, we can write the following: 1 equals greater than success. The value on the left is the value to compare with the value passed into the match expression. If the values match, the value on the right is returned as the result of the expression. Multiple values can be added by separating them with commas. Let's add the number 2 with the following result: denied. Before we test our work, I think it would be a good idea to extract the expression. It may be difficult to read. Values produced by match expressions can be stored in a variable. After all, it's an expression. I'm going to extract the expression to a variable called message. Next, I'll pass this variable on to the variable dump function. After running the script, we were given an error. Let's dissect the error to understand the problem. The error states the following: uncaught, unhandled match error, unhandled match case. Match expressions must always produce a value. If we look at our logic, the value stored in the variable is a string. However, the values in the expressions are integers. Unlike switch statements, PHP does not perform type juggling on any of the values. Comparisons are strict. This means that the values must match and have matching data types. With that in mind, it makes sense why we're getting an error. PHP can't find a match. In these cases, we must provide a default value. In the expression, add the default keyword with the following value: unknown. This time, the error goes away. Instead, we're given the default value. That makes sense since the data types don't match. Let's remove the quotes from the variable's value. After doing so, let's run the script. Our payment has been denied. Match expressions can be easier to read than switch and if statements. However, you may not like match expressions. Here's an example of the same result, but with an if statement. In programming, there isn't always one solution for producing the desired results. Different solutions can be used to tackle the same problem. Some developers may not like match expressions. In that case, you can stick to if statements. Throughout this course, there will be examples of how to use features in practical scenarios. For now, let's keep moving on with our PHP journey. In the next lecture, let's move on to functions.